Hare Krishna. Is there anybody who would like to introduce themselves at this point?
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna Mataji.
Mataji.
Okay, go ahead, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Dandavat Pranam. My humble obeisances to everyone on the call. This is Pranita from Ashburn, Virginia.
Hare Krishna Pranita Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. Thank you Mataji for joining and giving your association. Hare Krishna. Is this the first time you are joining Mataji?
No, Mataji. I have been joining for almost 1 year now.
Hare Krishna Mataji, welcome to the call. Thank you Mataji for joining.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Danvat Pranam. All goes to Prabhupada, all goes to Guru Maharaj, all goes to Ismali Devotee. This is Mohini Lakshmi from Detroit.
Hare Krishna Mohini Lakshmi Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. Thank you Mataji for joining and giving your association. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Vinita Gandharvika Mataji. All glories to Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. My humble obeisances to you and all the devotees. This is Krishna Kumari Devi Dasi from Raleigh.
Hare Krishna Krishna Kumari Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. Thank you Mataji for joining and giving your association. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Dandavat Pranam. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. This is Shama Garidasi from Charlotte.
Hare Krishna Shama Gauri Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. Thank you Mataji for joining and giving your association. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Vinita Gandharvika Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. This is Brinda from Baltimore.
Hare Krishna Vrinda Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. Thank you Mataji for joining and giving your association. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Vinita Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, Srila Prabhupada, Srila Gurudev ki jai, Vrinda.
Hare Krishna Vrinda Gopika Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. Thank you Mataji for joining and giving your association. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. This is Praveen Govindas from Charlotte.
Hare Krishna Praveen Govind Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. Thank you Prabhuji for joining and giving your association, and thank you for your beautiful chanting. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Vinita Gandharvika Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. This is Preeti Vilasni Dasi from Chicago. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Preeti Vilasni Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. Thank you Mataji for joining and giving your association. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Hare Krishna Mataji and all devotees. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. This is Lakshmi from Florida. Jai Sachinandana. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Lakshmi Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. Thank you Mataji for joining and giving your association. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, this is Radha Damodar and Atma Maya from Austin, Texas. Please accept our humble obeisances. All glories to Guru Maharaj, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to all the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Radha Damodar Prabhuji and Atma Maya Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. Thank you Prabhuji and Mataji for joining and giving your association. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, we can start recording now. It's already 7:21.
Okay. Hare Krishna, I welcome everybody to Bhakti Sangha Japa conference call. Today we are very fortunate to have His Grace Keshavanand Prabhuji to enlighten us on topic Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th canto, 28th chapter, 58th verse onwards. Before Prabhuji comes on the call, I will request Chai Mataji to take over the call and read the verse for us. Hare Krishna Chai Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. Thank you Mataji for joining and giving your association. Please read the verse for us Mataji. Thank you so much for your service. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Vinita Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Guru Maharaj. We're reading from Canto 4, Chapter 28, Text 28. Hare Krishna. Vipanastu kriya shaktir bhuta prakritir avyaya shakti adhishaha pumamstva atra pravishto navabudhyate. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The 5 stores are the 5 working sensory organs. They transact their business through the combined forces of the 5 elements, which are eternal. Behind all this activity is the soul. The soul is a person and an enjoyer in reality. However, because he is now hidden within the city of the body, he is devoid of knowledge. Purport. The living entity enters the material creation with the aid of the 5 elements: earth, water, fire, air, and ether. And thus his body is formed. Although the living entity is working from within, he is nonetheless unknown. The living entity enters the material creation, but because he is bewildered by the material energy, he appears to be hidden. The bodily conception of life is prominent because of ignorance. Nava buddhyate. Intelligence is described in the feminine gender, but owing to her prominence in all activities, she is described in this verse as Adhishaha, the controller. The living entity lives by means of fire, water, and food grains. It is through the combination of these 3 that the body is maintained. Consequently, the body is called Prakriti, material creation. All the elements gradually combine to form flesh, bone, blood, and so on. All these appear as various apartments. It is said in the Vedas that the digested foods are ultimately divided into 3. The solid portion becomes stool, and the semi-liquid portion turns into flesh. The liquid portion turns yellow and is again divided into 3. One of these liquid portions is called urine. Similarly, the fiery portion is divided into 3, and one is called bone. Out of the 5 elements, fire, water, and food grains are very important. These 3 are mentioned in the previous verse, whereas sky, ether, and air are not mentioned. This is all explained in Bhagavad Gita 13.20. Prakritim purusham chaiva vidhi anadi ubhau api vikaramscha gunamschaiva vidhi prakriti sambhavan. Material nature and the living entities should be understood to be beginningless. Their transformations and the modes of matter are products of material nature. Prakriti, material nature, and Purusha, the living entity, are eternal. When they both come in contact, there are different reactions and manifestations. All of them should be considered the results of the interaction of the 3 modes of material nature. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji.
Yeah, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam. Please accept our humble obeisances.
Yeah, I can start, or what should we do? Yeah. Now we are there. Okay, yeah, everybody can hear my voice? Hare Krishna?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes, okay. Okay, so I'll just start speaking. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurumilitamena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharani Visheshinavadi Paschadishta. Okay, so this verse, I have this verse. This is talking about Vipanastu Kriya Shaktir Bhuta Prakartiravyaya Shakti Adhisha Pumanstu Atra Pravishto Nava Puthyate. Well, as we know, this is all allegory going on. That means a message encrypted in a story. That's what is happening. So what's the message? Message is Vipanastu Kriya Shakti. The message is that that Kriya Shakti, what happens is the living entity, when it tries to enjoy this material world, it is a living entity is embodied body. In fact, it is said, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he used to say, this living body, this body is a product of a delusion, of soul. This body, what we have, it is a product of our own fantasies, our own imagination, our own unfulfilled desires. And the spiritual body, on the other hand, what Bhaktivinoda Thakur mentions in his Sharanagati last song, Harinam, Krishna Nam, Dhare Katobal. In that song, he says, the spiritual body is a product of of uh, of living entities' constitutional position, of living entities' desire to serve Krishna, intense desire to serve Krishna is manifested in form of spiritual body. Intense desire to enjoy this material world is manifested in the form of this material body. And that's what this verse is saying. What's that? There was so there was a saint, and he said, if you turn away from God, then they will cover you with clay and water. That's precisely talking about this body. If you turn away from God, they means Prakriti, which here in this verse is coming. Prakriti avyaya. Prakriti avyaya. Prakriti means the material elements or the material nature. They means she, or in other words, they means the combined force of this material world, Prakriti and its demigods, Brahma. They will cover you. The elements, 5 elements, which this verse is talking about. Bhuta. Bhuta means the 5 elements. And then Prakriti. Prakriti means material nature. And then Kriya Shakti. Kriya Shakti means the power in the senses, which is embodied in this body to make this body run. So all these things combined, they will cover you with clay and water. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur often used to say, without a connection with the higher realm, or with the divine realm, or with Krishna, everything is a dead clay. It's a dead clay, that's all. Scriptures even go to the extent of saying that the soul is dead without connection with God. Not just body. Body is anyway dead. Body is anyway dead. But even the soul is dead. Isopanishad. Atmaha. Yes, so I think what's that verse? Isopanishad. Atmaha. I'm just forgetting that verse. But that verse says, anybody who is not connected with Krishna, Ishavashamidam Saram, who is not in this spirit of looking everything in connection with God, including himself, Atmaha, he is a killer of soul. Prabhupada translates there, killer of soul. Now, how do you kill the soul? You can't kill the soul. But even Thomas Augustine, he said, there is a living soul and there is a dead soul. And Srila Prabhupada comments on Thomas Augustine's comment, on this comment. Prabhupada says, no, soul doesn't die, but we can understand in the sense of Bhagavatam, the spirit of Bhagavatam, where Sukdev says, without devotion, people are like dead corpse. The soul is dead. The soul is not living. There's no life in this soul. And that's the whole point here. The theme which they're trying to make and which they're trying to make us understand is Kriya Shakti Bhuta Prakriti Ravyaya. Now this Prakriti is a Shakti, and people who want to avoid Krishna, like us, people who want to, or Prabhupada qualifies this, people who want to enjoy separately from God, Prabhupada qualifies like that, they are awarded a body made of 5 elements. Earth, water, fire, air, ether. Prabhupada describes this in this purport very nicely. Earth, water, fire, air, ether. Out of this, earth, water, and fire, these three are more important than air and ether. Why? Because air and ether are not perceivable by these gross senses. In fact, Greeks, if we go in Western mythology, or maybe Western scriptures, or maybe the legends of the West, Greek and Babylon, according to them, the philosophers who were there 2000 years back, according to them, there were three elements: earth, water, and fire. Air and ether, they didn't recognize. Now, they didn't recognize or they didn't know. Well, they knew, but as Prabhupada is saying in this purport, fire, earth, water, and fire, they are the main elements which we can perceive, and the manipulation of which actually sustains our body. So anyway, Ayurveda describes all this, Sankhya philosophy describes all this, but what this word says is Shakti Adhisha. This Prakriti is a controller. Is a controller. In fact, anyway, that's very interesting point when we talk of control. You can't be out of control anytime. I mean to say, you can't be out of control. You have to choose under whose control you have to remain. And that seems a very pathetic situation. I mean, I have to stay under control always. Come on. In this modern humanistic secular world, this seems a very gloomy position. I have to be always under control. I want independence. I want freedom of speech. I want freedom of thought. And that's what is today's word, liberalism. But our scripture says, no, that's not possible. You have to always be under control. But you have to choose under whose control you have to be. Either you can be under control of Prakriti or Maya, or you can be under control of God. But you cannot think to not be controlled. That's impossible. In fact, even God, even Krishna cannot be completely independent. Even God. Although we say in the first verse of Bhagavatham, Janmadhyasya Annavada Tiratascha Bhigya Swarat. Swarat means he's completely independent. Prabhupada translates, he's completely independent, Swarat. He's not accountable to anybody. But even he cannot be completely independent. Even he desires to be under control of the love of his devotees, especially Radharani. So even he wishes to be under control, and that's what this Golok is all about. That's what Vaikuntha, the difference between Vaikuntha and Golok. Vaikuntha, he's independent. But even in Vaikuntha, he's under control of Lava's devotees. But in Vaikuntha, that's not clearly expressed. We cannot really perceive that control of devotees over God. We cannot perceive it. But in Golok, it's absolutely clear. Krishna is completely under control. Nand Baba Yashodama. Krishna says, Prabhupada says in Krishna book, Nand Baba orders Krishna, bring my slippers. And Krishna puts it on his head and then brings it. Or gopis tell Krishna, Krishna dance, and he's dancing. One who makes everybody dance on his fingertips. Everybody's dancing on his fingertips. This material world. One who is making dance Prakriti, the cosmic dance. One who is behind that cosmic dance. He is dancing and gopis are saying, dance. So in Golok and Vrindavan, that control is very evident. And we hear from our parampara that Krishna likes more than Vaikuntha and Dwarka and Mathura. He likes when that control is expressed clearly and when the control is complete. In Vrindavan, the control over Krishna is so complete that even he forgets that he's God. He forgets. That's the type of control they're talking. So that's why in this verse, when it says Shakti Adhisha, now Srila Prabhupada, Prakriti is called as Adhisha, controller. So this is controller now. And now she is able to control us. And in the process of controlling, she has given us this body and these senses, mind, intelligence, ego, a covering, a gross covering, a subtle covering. And why? Why? Does she want to torture us? I mean to say, people, tyrants, Hitler and all these, Napoleon, they were controlling Jews, Hitler, and he was putting them in gas chamber and killing them. So is it something like that? Is Prakriti a cruel power? Shakti Adhisha. Is Prakriti a cruel power that is trying to give? It is trying to delude us and then trap us in this covering of body, subtle and gross. What's happening? Well, scriptures inform us no. It is our choice to be under the control of Prakriti. It is our choice. We want that. I want. And if we change our choice, we can shift this control from Prakriti to God. You just have to change the choice. That's all. Nothing else. Actually, there was one seminar, one sannyasi was giving, and he was giving seminar, and he was saying if you want to go to spiritual world, if you want that spiritual body, there's one simple trick. You simply have to say to Krishna, I want it. This is a sutra. I want it. And one boy was sitting in the back of that seminar. I mean, this is that in that room, just behind everybody, and he shouted, "I want it." He was a fortunate soul. He could say, "I want it." Tatra laulyam mulyam ekalam. That's what greed. The whole point is Prakriti is able to control us, although we are superior to Prakriti. And that's what Krishna says in Gita. Krishna says, what's that verse 15 chapter? Sharam, Aksharam. There are two types of living entities. One is Shar, one is Akshar. And then there is Bhumira Punalo Vayu Khamano Buddhi Devacha Ankaritim Bhinna Prakriti Rashtada. Apairamithasthomanyam. Krishna says there is earth, water, fire, air, ether, and mind, intelligence, ego. This is one Prakriti, but this is lower nature. Aparayamitasthwanyam. Aparayam. Gita says, beyond this, itasthwanyam jiva bhuta sanatana. There is another Shakti whose name is living entity, Jiva, which is eternal. But the whole problem is we are superior Shakti than Prakriti Shakti, Shakti Adhisha. But still the lower power is able to control us who are superior power. Now how? How that's possible? That's possible if we want the lower power to control us. Otherwise, it's not possible. Maya cannot delude us. She cannot. Unless we don't want her to delude us. And that's what Maya does. That's what is devil's advocate. Prakriti or Maya, Prakriti is called as Maya also. Prakriti or Maya, she will never control us without our will. She'll never do that. Because if she does that, then she's interfering in our will, which even God doesn't do. Because then the whole, if she interferes in our will, then the whole responsibility and the whole reactions come to her. So neither she interferes in the will, neither God. It's Paramatma, God is watching. We have to decide. It's our choice, and every choice has a consequence. But the whole trick of Maya is she will influence our choice. That she can do. That nobody can stop. She can influence our choice. We are there to choose. We are now in full control of ourselves on our free will. We can choose whether I should have God or I should have Prakriti, this material world, these interesting things in this material world. What should I have? And as soon as we desire to have Prakriti, this material world and this material nature, she will immediately control us. Maya tare jhapatiya tare, jeev bhogmancha kare, maya tare jhapatiya tare. We'll be under his control, her control. But she can't do it by force. But she can influence our choice. This is very important term, line, influence our choice. Many Christian mistakes, Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy, Ramanuja, Madhva, they all use this phrase, influence our choice. And how does she influence our choice? Simple, seduction. Seduction. She seduces her by her charms, just as a female seduces a male by her charms. Prakriti enchants us, attracts us. How? By showing the glamour and astonishing scientific phenomena, astonishing discoveries and inventions. The Discovery Channel, and then Geographic National Channel. Yeah, isn't it? This is all she's trying to attract us. Movies, and not even that. I mean, philosophy. So much secret knowledge is there in this world. A secret is unveiled in this on this media. It comes. There's a secret which is recently unveiled, or maybe problems of this material. But that's also another way to charm people. Oh, what's happening? Let's have a look. India, China, they are about to fight. Corona, what's happening now? What are the prices of the gold? And this and that and that and that. And we are simply enchanted by her, by amusing entertainment, let me call like this. And we opt for her. And then Jhapatiya Dhare, and then she controls us. And then she takes us for a ride. She takes us for a ride. Ride of what? Rag, Dvesh, what's that? Rag, Dvesh. After Rag, Dvesh, I'm just forgetting. What's that? Yeah, Rag, Dvesh, Asmita, and then Moh, and then Abhinivesh. Yeah. Rag, Dvesh, Asmita, Moh, Abhinivesh. She takes us a ride. This ride of Rag. She just captures us, and then we are entangled in this material world, and then we see so many things, perceive so many things, and then we get this Rag. Some things we like, some things we don't like, Dvesh, and then Asmita, and then we are bewildered in this phenomena of liking and disliking, positive and negative. Sometimes we like something, but that is harmful. Sometimes we don't like something, but that's beneficial, but we can't take it because we don't like it. But we like it, we can't leave it, but that's harmful, that's depressing, that's hurting to us. So Asmita, Smita means intelligence. Asmita means bewildering intelligence. And then more, and then we are completely we are deluded, and then more, and then we are completely more means completely bewildered and attached to this, to things which we like, our own ideas. We develop attachment, we develop hatred, deep-rooted attachment, and then abhinivesh, and then we're out of control. Abhinivesh means intoxicated. You can't do anything. You're helpless. So that's the whole point. So I was reading Bhagavad Gita. There Krishna says, Matra sparshas tu kaunteya. Sparshas. As soon as you touch Maya, she'll attract you. She will pull you helplessly. So I can give an example. For example, you see when we were a child, or every child, he wants to put his finger in the socket, electric socket, as a child, baby. We were going, and then we were trying, what's this hole? And we were trying to put finger. So, so one of our servants, his child, he was there. They just came from village and they didn't have any electricity. He was just roaming and there was a socket, electric socket, and he put his finger inside. The button was on, and he got stuck. And he was getting electric current, and that's the whole point. If you choose to put your finger in the electric hole in that socket, then it's out of control. Before that, it's in your control. You put or you don't put. But as soon as you put your finger in that electric socket, it goes inside that. Then it's situation out of control. Then it will pull you. Even if you try to remove, you can't do it. That's what is Shakti Adhisha. She becomes controller. She takes over. She takes over. Once you submit to illusion, she will take over. Then it becomes almost helpless. Just like drug addicts. They choose to take drugs. And when they start taking drugs, after some time, they are not enjoying drugs. The drug is enjoying them. You start to take alcohol, but after some time, you are not drinking alcohol. Alcohol is drinking you. You are not smoking cigarettes. Cigarettes start smoking you. That's what happens. The things take control. It's the same thing with God. If we choose instead of Prakriti, if we choose God, He takes control. Sarup Shakti, Antarang Shakti, Deviya Ishuganamai Mama Maya Dhrutiya Maya Vadante Maya Metam Saranti. So, sorry. So there's another verse. Mahatma Nastu Mahapartha, Daivim Prakriti Mashrita, Krishna says. All these Mahatmas, they choose Daivi Prakriti, not Maya Prakriti, not Bhautik Prakriti. Now here in this verse, they're talking about Bhuta Prakriti. You see this word here? Vipanastu Kriya Shakti, Bhuta Prakriti Avyaya. There is a Bhuta Prakriti, there is a Daivi Prakriti. Now this Bhuta Prakriti is energy which is comprised of Bhutas. Bhutas means material elements, dead elements. And if you choose it, they will cover you with dead elements. And you'll forget yourself. You'll start identifying with this. But then there is a Daivi Prakriti, which Gita Krishna says, Mahatma Nastu Mahapartha, Daivim Prakriti. Daivi Prakriti is not made of material elements, not made of Bhuta, earth, water, fire, ether, intelligence, ego. Daivi Prakriti is made of Daiva, spiritual substance. And if you choose it, they will give you a spiritual body, which will be very conducive to the service of God. And then you're out of control. Devim Prakritim Ashritaha. Once you choose Devi Prakriti will take control. Just like once you choose Maya Prakriti, it will take control and take you for a ride. If you choose Devi Prakriti, it will take you for a ride. From Vaidhi Bhakti to Raganoga Bhakti to Bhava Bhakti to Prema Bhakti and beyond that. So it's just a choice. Mostly it's a choice of a living entity. But you know, but here I want to add one thing. Because we are conditioned since so many eternal lifetimes. Eternally we have been conditioned. Millions and millions and millions and millions of lives we have been doing the same thing. We have been millions of lives we have been choosing Bhuta Prakriti. We have been choosing Maya. Millions of lives. It's not just one life, remember that. What happens is it's no longer a choice. At our present stage, it's no longer a choice. We will be helplessly attracted towards Maya. And that's why people fall down. That's why people fall down, because it's no longer a choice. Even after practicing devotion for so many years, people fall down. Question is why? If it's a choice, I can choose either this or that. Now I choose that. Simple. I choose Devi Prakriti and I am devotee and I'll go back to God. If I choose Devi Prakriti, she will take charge. That's simple. But it doesn't happen like that. What happens is we choose Devi Prakriti, but because we are conditioned to choose Bhuta Prakriti, Maya, and we're so addicted to choosing Maya Prakriti. Now, our choice is also biased at present moment. It's not free, by the way. Ontologically, it's free. Philosophically, it is free, but practically, it's not free. We are addicted to choose Bhuta Prakriti or Maya. We are addicted to choose. So, in that sense, our choice is not free at present stage. And what happens is, Devesha Gunamai Mama Maya Dhrati, Mamevayam Prapadyante. What happens is, Maya, as soon as, so ultimately, when we are choosing Krishna and not Maya, we have to remember one thing. It's not our choice. It's not the power of our choice that we have chosen Krishna. It's not like that. And we are able to do devotion. Because our choice is on practical level, it's not free. We are addicted to choose Bhuta Prakriti or Maya. We are addicted to choose Maya. Even after 20 years of devotion, we still choose Maya sometimes. Why? The question is why? Because we are addicted. That's all. The only way we can choose Krishna and never choose Maya, the only way is when she will leave us. Because we are addicted to her, and she should leave us. Even if we choose her, she will say no. Go back to Krishna. Go back to Krishna. I don't allow you. No, go back. Only in that condition we can be free. There's no other way. There's no other way. When she will leave us. That's what Krishna says. As soon as you surrender to me, she will leave you. She will leave you. It's not that you have left her. She has left you. Because you cannot leave her, because you are addicted to choose her. In spite of choosing me, still you are choosing her again and again. So it's not that you have left her, she has left you. So don't be egoistic. So don't be puffed up. But I have left illusion. By my power of choice, I'm advancing, and I'm not choosing Maya. That's not the case. She is not allowing you to choose her. She's leaving you. When we surrender to Krishna, she starts helping us rather than obstructing us. If we are sincere, that is a condition supply star. If we are not hypocrites, if we are not willfully doing something nonsense, and if we really want to choose Krishna, if we really want from our heart, the core of our heart, but because we are addicted, sometimes we choose Maya and fall down. But then she starts helping us. She says, no, don't choose me. Go back. She will leave us. She will say, no, I don't want you. You want me, but I don't want you. She will start leaving us. She will start helping us to remember Krishna. She will say, no, remember Krishna. That's what is going to happen. That's very important to understand. Otherwise, we'll become egoistic of our sadhana, of a choice. Oh, Shakti Adhisha, Prakriti is a controller, but now I am out of control of her. Why? Because I, by my free will, chose Krishna and not her. That's wrong. Sorry. You had the free will philosophically, but practically you didn't have free will. You were addicted to her. You had sold your free will to her. That's how I would like to put it. You sold your free will to her. She was in charge. You just, a fraction of your free choice, a fraction of your choice chose Krishna. But 99% was with Maya. And there's a beautiful story for this in Christianity. There was one saint. What was his name? Simon the Great. He was a Christian saint in Egypt. Now, Egyptian Christian saints, they are called as fathers, the father of deserts, desert fathers. Now, he was a very great devotee. So what they used to do is, these fathers, desert fathers, especially this Simon the Great, he constructed a pillar in desert, and he was standing on the top of the pillar, and he was just praying to Christ. He was just standing on the top. So why this? So that nobody disturbs him in his practice of meditation. And the heat and dust storms, and they were very austere. Desert fathers were known for their austerities. So it was like an austere section of Christianity. So he was staying, and his devotion was very intense. So Maya, or Saturn in Christianity, she decided to test him, and she came in form of his mother, and she said, "Oh, my Simon, please come down and help me. I'm dying, no food, and so much heat. Help me." He didn't budge. He could understand, this is Satan, this is Maya. He didn't choose her. She had to go back. And then she came as a seductive woman, and she was saying, "My dear Simon, please look at me. Just look at me once. Just look at me." And that's what Maya does, isn't it? I was telling you. She will simply charm you. Maya will simply tell you, "Please look at me once, just 1 second." And then you can see Krishna. Whole day you can see Krishna and chant his names. No problem. Just 1 second you look at me. And as soon as you look at her, she'll hypnotize you. She will hypnotize you, and she will pull you towards her. Why? Because you chose to look at her. It's not her fault. So she came as a beautiful woman, and she tried to seduce him, but he resisted. She went back. And then she came as Maya herself, in the form of Maya, original form. And this time she was not standing below the pillar. She was standing on the top. Simon was here. She was here with him. She was just standing behind him. And she said, "Simon." Simon was afraid. My God, Maya is standing just behind me. And she licked him with her tongue like this. And she said, "Simon, you think that you're a great devotee, and you have chosen God and not me, and your power of choice is strong. You think like that. But now I will show you my power, and I will take you for a ride from where there's no return." And then she just closes her eyes with a hand. When he opens his eyes, he's in a restaurant in pants, shirt, boots, and there was a dance going on. There was a wine party. Everybody was dancing, ball dance. It was a club, and he was sitting in front of her, Maya. And she said, "What happened, Simon? My dear husband, Simon, I'm your wife." He forgot everything. Everything. And he said, "Oh, yeah, you're my wife, and what I have to do, where is the money and this, and what's happening? Let's enjoy." And he stood up, she stood up, and they started dancing. He was enjoying. He closed his eyes. She closed her eyes. And the next moment he opened her eyes, he was standing on the pillar of back, and she was standing behind. She said, "Simon, now you know me. I am the power of God. And you can only escape me if I leave you. There is no other way. If you think you can escape me, you're a fool. That's not possible. Because I am the power of God. And you are addicted to me since millions of lives. You're addicted to me since millions of lives. So in that sense, Simon, you don't have a free choice. You don't have a free choice. Whenever I want, I can simply enchant you and take you away with me. Because your addiction to me is eternal. You can imagine eternal addiction. You're eternally addicted. People who are addicted by drugs in this life, it's so difficult to leave it. I mean to say, so even if they decide to leave drugs, they are not able to do it. They need to go to a rehabilitation center, and there also they have to suffer, and still sometimes they can't leave it. So she says to Simon, Simon, you are eternally addicted to me. You can imagine what that means. That means your free choice, I have bought it. By some kono bhagavan jeev, Guru Krishna prasade paye bhakti lata beej. By some fortune, you met some saint, and a fraction of your free will, you sold it to God. You gave it to God. You choose him. But majority is with me. Anytime I can pick you. Anytime. And that's the whole point. That makes us humble. And that's what Bhakti Santa used to say. Prabhupada said, don't be puffed up. Don't be puffed up. You're not advancing because of your sadhana only. That's not the point. You're advancing, yes, you're doing sadhana, but you're not advancing because you are doing sadhana and by sadhana you're getting power to leave Maya. No. You're advancing because you're doing sadhana and that is pleasing to God. And God says to Maya, leave him. That's why we are advancing. We are puppets. You have to remember all this. We are always under control. That's why it is said, Shakti Adhisha. It's a very nice word. She is the supreme controller. She is controller. She is a controller. She wants to leave us, she'll leave us. If she wants to get us, she'll get us, no matter how much strong we are. No matter we might be sannyasi for 80 years. For her, it's nothing. She knows the recesses of our heart, where we are addicted. In the deep recesses, in the deep chambers, chamber within chamber within chamber within chamber, we are addicted. And that's why I was saying, so we sing that song, Mama Mana Mandire. Bhakti Thakur sang, oh my dear Lord, come and stay in the temple of my heart. Yes, yeah. That's fine. Stay in the temple of my heart. The problem is, in the temple, there are 2 rooms. And one room is Krishna is there in the temple of your heart, but he's in drawing room. And who is there in the bedroom? And the bedroom is your addictions, your desires, your mistress, of the witch Maya is in the bedroom. She's also there in the temple. But Krishna is outside room. She's in the inside room. She knows the recesses, the deep recesses of your subconscious mind. And she can tap that addiction and take you under her control. She can do that. So the only choice left for us is, and that's why it says, na avabuddhayate. Pravishto na avabuddhyate. The soul is staying, Pumans means the soul, the living entity, is pravishta, is entering into this body, which is given up to your mind, body, gross body, it's entering. It doesn't know anything what's happening with it. Avabuddhyate, he doesn't know who is he, what is Prakriti, what he's doing, why he's doing. There's no purpose of life. He doesn't understand anything. Avabuddhyate is devoid of knowledge. Avabuddhyate, he also doesn't understand how much, he also doesn't understand himself, how much addiction she has to Maya, he has to Maya, she, the entity. He doesn't understand the power of Maya, doesn't understand the power of God. He's always, even on the path of devotion, Vishnu Thakur says, even on the path of devotion, we are doubtful whether we can attain God or not attain God. Vidyate hide granthi chidyante sarva samshaya shiyante chasya karmani drishtva evatmani. Sukadeva Goswami says, Vidyate hide granthi, all attachments will be destroyed. And then he says, Vidyate sarva, all will be destroyed. Now, what kind of attachment will be destroyed? If we do devotion, what kind of attachments will be destroyed? Well, what kind of attachment? Attachment to choose Maya. This is the attachment we have. Now, here we are not talking about attachment of sense objects, or attachment to this thing, this thing, this thing, this thing. We are telling we are attached to the idea that we must choose Maya. And that attachment then develops into addiction. That's what I was telling. We are addicted to choose Maya. We're attached to this idea. Granthi, that's the final Granthi which devotion will break. Siddhyante sarva samshaya, all doubts will be destroyed. And what is a doubt of all doubts? What is the king of all doubts? I cannot attain God. It's impossible. Well, on certain level, when you're very highly spiritually advanced, then also you say, oh, I cannot attain Krishna. Radha, I cannot attain Krishna. Ha Radha, Hey Radhe, Vrajadevi. Goswamis are weeping. My life is wasted. I could attain Krishna. Madhven Puri was weeping when he was dying. I wasted my life. And his assistant Ramchand Puri, he was saying, what the hell you're talking? Your whole life you dedicated to Krishna. And I was saying, you wasted your life. You couldn't attain Krishna. What the hell? This is nonsense. Madhven Puri says, get out from my eyes. Ramchand Puri could not understand that he was not saying out of a doubt that I couldn't attain Krishna. Krishna is impossible to attain. This sinful person like me, how can he attain Krishna? That was his sentiment. That was sentiments of Madhven Puri. Madhven Puri said to Ramchand Puri, get out. He could understand that he's speaking in ecstasy. That's the highest level of mood of ecstasy, which Radha says, I could attain Krishna. Krishna left me, went to Dwarka because of my own sins. The highest state. And what is highest in spiritual world? That's the lowest in material world. That's the most worst kind of thing. What is the most worst kind of thing? That's the best kind of thing in spiritual world, isn't it? So doubt, I cannot attain, it's impossible to attain Krishna. We are on the worst scale. It's impossible to attain Krishna. Yeah. But even on the highest level, people are thinking like that. It's impossible to attain Krishna. But that the reflection is this, what we are experiencing. We are in reflection. Yeah, in one sense, it's impossible to attain Krishna. We cannot. But once we do devotion, we can understand the power of Krishna. And then we can understand there's nothing impossible for Krishna. If Krishna decides, then we can attain him. If Maya decides to leave us, then we are out of Maya. The decision is in their hand. Although we say we have a free choice, but I told you that that practically we don't have a free choice because we are addicted to choose Maya eternally. So who takes decision? We can't take decision. So they take decision. Yes, Krishna decides, I want him. And he orders Maya, leave him. And then we are on the journey. Of course, we have to walk. We have to walk. But he assists. And he said to Maya, leave him, don't pull him back. And that's the whole drama. We have to understand this properly. Otherwise we can't attain Krishna. Otherwise, with Siddhyante Sarva Samshaya. So all these doubts, all these kind of confusions, Siddhyante will be destroyed if we do devotion properly in association of good devotees. Sadhu Sang. Sadhu Sang. That's what in the morning I was talking. What Ramanand Prabhu and Mahaprabhu's discussion Mahaprabhu asks Ramanand Rai, he asks him, Kon dukh madhe, dukh gurutar. What is a gurutar means greatest? What is the greatest of greatest? Unhappiness. Of all unhappiness, sadness, and sorrow, what is the greatest sorrow? And Raman Rai says, Krishna Bhakt Sang Bina Nahi Bad Par for that. That without the association of devotees, loss of association of devotees, that's the greatest of sorrows which I can think in this material life. Not even death. Death is not at all a sorrow. You have to fear death. What we fear is loss of association. Because devotees are capable to chidyante sarva samshaya. Chiyante chasya karmani. And all our karmas which are obstructing us to reach a goal, prayojana, prema, they'll be destroyed. Kristvaiva Atmanishwari. We will be able to see ourselves. In Atmanishwari, in our mind, in our heart, we'll be able to see Krishna. Not Prakriti. Shakti Adisha, not Prakriti. Now Krishna. This is the whole, that's why Krishna says, Bhagavatham says, Yagya Sankirtan Rajanti Sumedasa. You have to be very intelligent to understand all these things. At least understand it, even if you can't follow it. But if you don't even understand it, then how can you even imagine to follow it? And then what's the destination? We're eternally confused. And then we fall down again and again, again and again, again and again, again and again. We try to go up, fall down, try to go up, fall down, try to go up, fall down. Bhakti used to say, Prabhupada always used to say, keep your conceptions clear. It's not necessary to have a lot of quantity of devotion. Very important to have a quality. Quality comes with right conception. And that will give results. Otherwise, if you go to Vrindavan, there are so many devotees, there's so many Babajis who are chanting 3 lakh names daily and reading now, and they have on tips Bhagavatham and other books, but they're all Kanishta Dikaris, according to Bhakti Siddhanta, because they don't have right conception. Conception can be conceived only from sadhu, not also from books, because from books you will try to take something and leave something by your own rag and dvesh. And that will not change your conception. So this is the whole, Prabhupada explains all these things in this purport. And you can read this. Prabhupada speaks about some Ayurveda also. Food, how it's divided into 3 portions, and this and that and that. That always you can read it. But the crux of this verse, I have tried to put it in words. I mean to say, you have to really think what as it does. Because there are some things which might seem paradoxical, contradictory. But if you think deeply, you will find truth in these words, and you will be able to, it will help you to advance in Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Anybody wants to ask anything, they can ask. Otherwise, I'm done here. Hare Krishna. Just make it.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai.
Oh,
This is Praveen Govinda.
Yeah. I recognized you. Okay.
So Prabhuji, you
So,
talked about Bhut Prakriti and Devi Prakriti. So
yeah.
how do we understand? Isn't fire, air not there in the spiritual world?
No, fire, air, and earth, and water, and ether, that's not there in spiritual world. Spiritual world has spiritual substance which we have no idea what is made of. There's no description of that, what is made. We just said it's made of Satchit Anand, but that doesn't describe it, what kind of thing it is. It just said it's no, that substance is full, it's eternal and it's full of happiness. So the visheshan, the qualities of that substance is given. But what that substance is, that's mentioned nowhere. That's why it is.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Okay, so
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. Thank you Prabhu for beautiful class. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, is there anybody having any questions for Prabhuji? Please go ahead and ask.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Koti Dandavat Pranam. Thank you very
Hare
much
Krishna, Hare
for
Krishna,
lecture in class. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada, Srila Gurudev ki jai.
Hare Krishna. Oh,
Hare Krishna, Keshavanam Prabhuji. Thank you for the beautiful
was it?
class. I love all of the analogies you gave, especially the one with the sticking the finger in the socket, and how when if the how if the finger gets stuck, you have no control over what's happening, and so
Yeah.
we have to choose Krishna, and then he will take control. I thought that was wonderful. It was such a good way of helping me understand it, at least. And especially everything you said about how so many lifetimes we've been choosing Maya over and over and over again until we become addicted. And so it's very difficult for us to not choose Maya.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right. That's was that. So ontologically, we have a free will, but in the but in a functional sense, in a so as Bhakti Santa used to say, so in the disposition of functional sense, we don't have a free will. That's how things are in a practical world now, where we are there. And that's the central point I just wanted to convey. We need to understand we have a free choice now. So that's why we must have assistance of sadhus and good devotees to help us remind that, okay, you choose Krishna, and otherwise we have no hope. We have no. That's Mahaprabhu says, sadhu sang sar shastra ko. It's all association of devotees. And finally, we need help. That's the whole idea. We can't do it ourselves. If we understand that, we are done. We are out. But we can't understand that. That's the whole problem. She'll allow us to understand that. Anyway,
thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for listening.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranams. I just have a question. Once I was having a conversation in the temple. This was with one devotee who is a Sri Vaishnava, and he was talking something on the same lines, but a little different though. He was telling me that his guru told him that he do his daily, whatever his guru has assigned him services, but apart from that, I mean, he told him that you just be in the association of devotees and do these services, but you don't have to per se do these devotional services in one sense, because ultimately Krishna awards, and so you could be doing bhakti all the while, but it may not lead to devotion, because ultimately it's Krishna who awards. And so his guru told him that we could externally keep doing seva, we could keep doing so many things, but then only Krishna has the final authority.
So,
He,
so I was, in the last few sentences, you spoke something like Krishna is in control or Maya is in control. And so I was wondering, how do we reconcile, because I mean, for us, devotional service is everything, like devotion equals
oh,
service.
okay. Yeah. I understand your question.
Hmm.
This is a very important question because actually, because of this question, Sri Sampradaya split into two parts, Vadakalai and Tenkalai, and still they're fighting. I mean, the fight went to such an extent that they killed each other. The fight went to such an extent that they're fighting whether to take sweet first or sweet in the last of the food, whether to take sweet in the beginning of the food. I mean, there's such a hate was produced that they started fighting over such petty issues. When to take sweet in the beginning or in the end? When to take salt in the middle of the? It became really. It's still mess now. It's still a mess. Tankalai, Vadakalai. Now, but the whole fight was starting from this question: what is the role of devotional service if ultimately Krishna chooses? What to do with that? If ultimately we are completely addicted to Maya and practically we don't have a free choice, and ultimately final authority is with him. If he wants to release us, he will release. If he doesn't want, no matter what we try, Maya will not leave us. Because Maya can always try. He has to order Maya to leave us. Otherwise, it'll never happen. So what to do? So Sri Sampradaya split into two parts, Tenkalai, Vadakalai. Tenkalai people, I can guess that Sri Vaishnav is from Tenkalai because he said no matter how much devotional service you do, it doesn't matter whether you do or not. Otherwise, ultimately Krishna has to decide. So just be in association of devotees. That's what Tenkalai people say. But Vadakalai people, Vedant Deshika, who is Acharya, he said no. He said ultimately Krishna has to choose, but he's the final authority when he will deliver you from illusion. But the whole question is whom he will choose. I mean to say, if there are a lot of people whom he will decide that this person has to be liberated now, this person doesn't have to, this devotee doesn't have to be liberated. Whom he will choose, how he will choose. It's not a random choice. He's not a mad person. This will depend on sadhana. So you must do your own sadhana. You must do your own sadhana and leave that choice on Krishna. You don't know what he will choose and he will choose. So don't worry about that. So you do your own sadhana. That's all. And then by sadhana, you make yourself qualified that he chooses you. And he says to Maya, okay, this devotee is sincere. He's sincere. He's doing sadhana. He's doing what I'm saying according to scriptures. Leave him. But that these two devotees are not ready because they are not doing sadhana properly. He said this. But our position is not Vedakal, I think. Our position is both combined. We know that we have to do devotional service. It makes us qualified to be chosen by Krishna. It makes us qualified. In fact, he has made illusion to stop us for a purpose. For a purpose. The purpose is to check whether we are sincere in wanting him or not. That's the point there. Now, of course, I told you, if Maya doesn't leave, because we are eternally addicted to Maya. So, but when we do sadhana, we make our free choice. We give a fraction of free choice to Krishna, and we are trying to serve him. And by serving, we are trying to make him happy. That's the whole point. Or in other words, we are trying to sincerely show Krishna, I don't want to be under Maya. I find it out, but I don't want. So, so how to show? Krishna says, okay, you follow these principles, you chant my holy names, you do this, do this, do this, do this, do this. If you are doing this, and if you don't really by your will, you don't really do mess up, then I will see, okay, this is a sincere person, he wants me, and the process devotionals that will make me happy, and in turn you will become strong to resist the temptations of Maya by chanting my holy name. So devotional service helps us to give us the power to resist the temptations of Maya, whatever little it is there. Otherwise, Maya can tempt us at any time. She has all power, and we have all addiction. But nevertheless, we get some power to 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 remain away from temptations of Maya in order to do devotional service, so that we can continue our devotional service. She can, and by that, when we resist temptations, then Krishna becomes happy. But that power is given by holy names and by devotional service. He becomes happy, yes, because that shows that we want her. We don't want, when we always deny her, whatever little we can, we resist the temptations. Every time we resist our temptations, every time Krishna notes it in the diary. This is good. He doesn't want 100%. He doesn't want 100% he has resisted Maya. But that's not, it's impossible. We are very small. That's a tsunami. If tsunami is coming, can you stop it? No. What he's seeing is sincerity. If we can resist temptations of Maya one time, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, 6 times, he's not looking for 100. So that can't be done. He's okay, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, good. He's sincere. 11, he's sincere. 11th time he resisted. 12th, he's sincere. 13th is sincere. 14th, and probably he has some minimal thing in his mind. When it comes to 20, he's sincere. Maya, leave him. I know he's sincere. Leave him. That's all. Finish it off. That's what devotional service is. The power to resist temptations and to make Krishna happy because we are following his system. And this makes him happy. So that we understand. But we also understand that he's not looking for 100 score. Neither it can be done. And when it comes 20, or when he sees a sincerity, then he will order Maya. So finally, it's in his hands. So what I mean is, devotional service makes us qualified for him to choose us in the final stroke. Otherwise, if you don't say like this, then Krishna is a mad person. How will he choose? So Vadakalai people, they told Tenkalai people, okay, Krishna chooses, so you do or don't do, it doesn't matter. Finally, Krishna is a choice chooser. But then how he chooses, that question is not there. It's unanswered there. So sadhana makes us yogya. It gives us a yogyata for Krishna to choose us. The adhikar or yogyata, that words are used so that he can choose us. And then he abstracts us from illusion. So it's a combination. Our sadhana, we are trying to go up, and his mercy, he's trying to descend. We are going up, he's descending. We are going up little, he's descending more. We are going up, he's descending more and more. We are taking 1 step, he's taking 10. We are 1, 10, 1, 10, 1, 10. And when we are, so there's a threshold. When we surpass this in his eyes, he just comes and fixes. From our strength, we can't go up till this point. We can't do that. We can just come out of threshold. So it's almost like a swimming pool, isn't it? So if you are drowning in a swimming pool, and if you're shouting help, 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 your voice can't go outside because you are underwater. Underwater, no matter how much you shout, the voice cannot transmit. People are standing beside swimming pool, but nobody can hear you. So what do you have to do? You have to swim up. At least that much you have to do. You have to come on the and then shout help. Okay, at least you have to come on the surface, then shout help. Then somebody will come, he'll hold your hand, come on, catch this rope, and he'll pull. Just keep on holding, pull it, and you're out. So that's sadhana. Sadhana is a process by which you come from the bottom of the ocean to the surface of the water. Nobody is going to hear your help. But when you may be shouting, come on the surface, then people can hear you, they'll pull you up. So it makes you qualified for Krishna to choose. So that's the whole point. We need both efforts and mercy. But final stroke is Krishna. We always have to understand. final stroke is Krishna's mercy, but that doesn't deny our efforts, our sadhana, because our sadhana qualifies us to receive His. Otherwise, we'll never receive His mercy. That's the whole point. Yeah. It's clear or not? Probably have to
Probably
think sometime.
somewhat, but not totally, because where I'm coming from, I mean, we are reading all through scriptures and listening to so much katha where devotees have performed devotional services and Krishna reciprocates so beautifully. So where does the question even
Yeah.
arise that, I mean, I don't even understand where does the question arise that, a person may not perform devotional service and still get Krishna's mercy. I mean, maybe it's not apparent in this
So yeah.
lifetime, but
No. So that's what I'm saying. Without devotional service, how can anybody get mercy? That's what I'm saying. But having said this, nothing is impossible in Krishna's word. Nothing is impossible in Krishna's creation. Always remember that, because there is also an example of Kripa Siddhi. You see, devotion is very dynamic. You can't fix Krishna. You can't say, Krishna, it should happen like this. Krishna will say, oh, okay, I'll show you. So there are so many examples of Kripa Siddhi also. Prabhupada gives a nectar of devotion. One prostitute, she was lost in the temple and in the forest. She went into the temple and she had no food. She slept. So actually she couldn't sleep because she was very afraid and there were snakes and all these things. So she was just, because she was in temple, she was remembering God. Whole night she remembered. And in the morning, one snake came and it bit her. And because that night was Ekadashi and she did a fast unknowingly, she got liberated. Now you might say, oh, what is this? This is complete nonsense. Or Prabhupada gives one example, nectar devotion. Or who was that? I think Chandrakanti, or who? One female who was dancing whole night in the temple. She was so absorbed in dancing, she didn't understand, and she was just dancing whole night in front of the deity. She didn't eat, she didn't do anything, and there was Ekadashi, she did fast. She was dancing for the deity whole night. In the morning she died and she went to Vaikuntha. So how do you do that? Or maybe Puna. Aho bakiyam stana kala kutam. What about that? Dhatri leve dhatri katin. Krishna not only suck her poison, her milk, and gave her the position of the mother. Now remember that general rule is we have to do it. Without devotional service, you can't get Krishna. It's impossible, because that's sadhan. That's the way to make yourself qualified to attain the mercy of God. It's impossible. I mean to say, otherwise Krishna is a crazy man. He's do whatever he wants. But at the same time, he's autocrat. He can do anything. He can break all rules. He can give you mercy without devotional service. But that's Kripa Siddhi. But we can't rely on Kripa Siddhi. Okay, when Kripa Siddhi will happen, then that's almost like standing below the tree, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, and waiting for the grapes to fall down, or waiting for the mangoes to fall down. When will mango fall down? I read. And in the meantime, one crow comes and it takes the mango and goes away. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, go up and get the mango. It'll become rotten in some night also. So that's one thing. So both aspects we have to understand, and that was probably, I mean to say, you see, Tenkala and Vadakala, it's not a kiddish fight. It's not a kiddish fight, by the way. They have been fighting for centuries, and they have their own logics and good logics, and from scriptures and evidences. So there is some level of truth in Tenkala, some level of truth in Vadakala. But Mahaprabhu says we have to combine both. You do devotional service, you get mercy. You do more devotional service, you get more mercy. You do more devotional service, you get more mercy. That's the rule. That's all. Finish. But we should not be egoistic of the fact that I'm doing devotional service and that is making me qualified for Krishna's mercy. That should not be there. And that will get destroyed only when you understand Krishna is completely independent. You see I think Bhakti Santa, he used to tell, that there were just one story. He used to tell just like that. He used to tell that there were two devotees in the mutt, and one devotee was chanting 64 rounds daily and very sincere. Another devotee, he was not chanting at all. And Krishna came. I mean to say, so he was telling a story. It's not reality. He was telling a story to explain. And Krishna came and he embraced the person who was not chanting. Another person who was doing devotional service very sincerely, 64 rounds and this and that. And I was thinking, what the hell? You know, I'm here. I'm doing devotional service no nicely, and Krishna is embracing that person. What's happening? So can Krishna do that? Well, if we say no, he was not doing devotional service, and Krishna, why did Krishna reciprocate him? Why was he not reciprocating with the person who's doing devotional service? Krishna is independent. He knows the reason for what he's doing. Or maybe, for example, Jayadev Goswami, what about that? Jayadev Goswami was a great devotee. He wrote Gita Govind. Mahaprabhu used to hear his Gita Govinda. But Krishna gave darshan to whom first? His wife, Padmavati. She was not elevated as he was. She was not Sanskrit scholar. She was writing poems and Gita Govind. She was just simply serving him. Krishna gave darshan to her first. And you know that story, I presume. So Krishna gave her darshan, and I mean to say Jayadev Goswami. Yeah, you all know. So Jayadev Goswami was writing what do we say? Was writing his Gita Govind, and in between, he just put his pen down. He said, "I cannot write this." He got a thought that Krishna is asking for the dust from the lotus feet of Radha. He said, "I cannot write this. This is absurd. This is my imagination. I'm in Maya. I'm Sahijya." He couldn't believe what he's thinking. Even at that level, at the level of Jayadev Goswami, whose songs Mahaprabhu is listening, even he had to do self-introspection. Am I mad? Is this a revelation or this is illusion? Krishna asking dust of lotus feet of Radha? I can't imagine. He just put his pen, he just went off. He thought, I'll take a bath and then I'll rest, and then again, right, I'm becoming mad. This is true devotee. A true devotee is always question his revelations. Not that, oh, I am such a great devotee. What I'm thinking, that's true. Oh, this is, come on, I'm thinking, this is nice realization. No, they always doubt. So he went to take bath behind. Krishna took form of Jayadev Goswami. He came. And he said to Padmavati, cook, give me prasad. She served Krishna prasad in Jayadev Goswami. And then he went, he wrote that sentence, Dehi Padu Pallavam. This was the exact sentence Jayadev Goswami was thinking. And he said, okay, I'm going to sleep. And his wife told, okay, you go sleep. And she started eating the remnants. And then Jayadev Goswami came. He said, what the hell you're doing? She said, what the hell you are saying to me? You have become nuts. I'm eating food. Said, come on, you're eating before me. That traditionally, it's not the system. Wife eats before husband. She eats a remnant. She said, you're nuts. I just gave you so much. You ate so much. And then you wrote something and then you went to sleep. And he could understand. And he just went and saw the book and same sentence, Dehi Pad Pallava was written there. Krishna is saying to Krishna, Radha, give me the dust of your lotus feet. And he could understand. Krishna wants this to be known to the whole world. You see the point? So Krishna gave darshan to him, Padmavati, who was not doing any service, but she was serving Vaishnava. And that's the criteria which Krishna took in his mind, to give her mercy first. So we don't know what Krishna is thinking, what he's doing. So ultimately, it's up to him. But he has reasons. He's not a joker. He has his reasons. So we might be doing a lot of devotional service, or Krishna might give some mercy to somebody who's not doing devotional service so nicely. Maybe in last life he did. So we have to keep this in mind. But is listening to all these things, we can't say, okay, now I'll not do devotional service. It's ultimately to Krishna. So I'll just be like that, and then we will fall down. We will be in illusion. So we have to know the both sides. Otherwise, we will be fanatic. Otherwise, we'll be on either a Vedanteshika or Loka Pillachare. We will miss. We cannot understand Krishna fully otherwise, and we can never make relationship with Krishna. We'll become egoistic of our devotional service. That is also the other side of the coin. When you buy the coin, there is head and tails. You just don't take the heads. So this fight, Vedanta Shikha Lokapillacharya, it was very important. Other people thought they are fighting, but Mahaprabhu thought there is a truth in both of these sampradayas, and we have to combine them and harmonize them. Otherwise, devotion will not be pleasing to Krishna. And this is the entire. I mean, so you have to think about it. Sit and think about it. I don't know whether it makes sense to you or not, what I told you. But that's how it is. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Danvat Pranam.
Yeah, Hare Krishna.
Prabhu, devotional service, even if we are following the path of devotional service, how do we come to know that Krishna is getting pleased with us? Or, I mean, even while we are doing this, really, yeah.
Yeah, it's a simple answer. Yasya prasadat bhagavat prasad. If Guru and Vaishnavas are becoming pleased, then Krishna is becoming pleased. One way to know is this. But if we are not in contact with a Guru, and we are not in contact with any Vaishnava, then how to know whether Krishna is becoming pleased? Then Krishna says, Tesham satyoktanam bhastam priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam. I'll give you intelligence. And intelligence for what? He'll give you intelligence to understand that there is no interest in this material world. That kind of spiritual intelligence. Material intelligence is there is interest in this material world. Spiritual intelligence is there is no interest in this material world. If by your devotional service you're developing vairagya, disinterest, renunciation, then this means you're advancing. Krishna is becoming pleased, because Maya will not give you disinterest. Maya wants to create interest, am I right? And Dadami Buddhiyogam Tam, he will give you intelligence to understand your faults so that you can correct it. Maya will never allow you to understand your faults. Rather, she will give you intelligence so that your all faults are hidden. You will never accept. So this is the type of intelligence. If Krishna is becoming pleased, you will start knowing your faults. Oh, this is my fault. This is my problem. And you will start looking within yourself, introspection, and you will stop looking others' faults. You will start analyzing your faults, big faults, which you might not have never thought that you have this. And that will happen. And then he will give you intelligence to overcome those faults. A practical tip, how to get above this, how to get above this problem. And if this is happening, then Krishna is becoming pleased. So Bhagavatam says, Janiyati ashu vairagyam jnanam chadatahitukam. Krishna is pleased. Then what will happen? You will have two things, vairagya and jnana. Vairagya means renunciation, disinterest. Jnana means knowledge. Knowledge to understand I am imperfect. What are my imperfections? How to get over these imperfections? And Krishna is perfect. He doesn't have any imperfection. Even if it seems that he has some imperfection, that is not imperfection. That is actually perfection, or that is actually he's doing this to please his devotees. That's all. So this kind of knowledge, jnana. So then Krishna is pleased. That's all. That's how we understand otherwise.
Right.
It's okay.
Thank you. Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
No, because even if Guru Maharaj gets pleased easily, like I mean, it's difficult to.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
I mean, even if we have so many faults, he's pleased with us. So.
You're right. You're right. You're right. So it's difficult to know whether Krishna, because Guru Maharaj is always smiling, and Guru Maharaj is mostly merciful, and then he says, "Okay, it's nice." So it's difficult. You're right. But no, that's a good question. Now, yasya prasada, bhagavad prasada. If Guru is pleased, what will happen is, he will not simply smile. The reward of pleasure, always remember this in devotional life. The reward of pleasure is service and not a smile. So if Guru is giving you more service and more responsible service, then this means he's pleased. If he's simply smiling, well, he meets everybody and he smiles. That's okay. He gives prasadam to everybody, and he tries to encourage people like that. But the reward of pleasure service, that's in case with Krishna also. Krishna is pleased, he'll give you more service through Guru. So if you're getting more service, more responsible service, not just in quantity, maybe in quality, a more responsible service, or maybe in quantity, more service, then this means Guru is pleased. So that's how we know whether Guru is pleased or not. Otherwise, it's real tricky business.
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu.
Okay. Okay, so what else? Otherwise, things are over. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Yeah, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Just such a class today, like, so this point was always showing me of the free will. So thank you very much clarifying that practically we don't have free will, and that makes so many things easier to understand, you know. For example, that if we think that we have a free will, then that itself is detrimental to our surrender, right? Because then I try to put myself in center, and then I try to say that, oh, I am doing it, feed my ego, and
Yeah, you're
then
right. You're right.
then self makes me, you know, into that position. Even not doing devotional service, if I had that attitude that it is only because Krishna is allowing me to do it, I'm able to do it rather than due to free will doing it. So that
yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Thank you for understanding.
Yeah. So thank you so much.
No, so you're from where? You're staying in America or what? Huh?
Yeah, in America, Charlotte. We met in Charlotte.
Acha. Anyway.
When a couple times where we were visiting here, I met.
Okay, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay, anybody wants to ask anything, or we're going to hang up here and then try to fight with our own temptations? What to do for that? We all have our own problems. At least I.
Hare Krishna. Is there anybody having any more questions for Prabhuji? Okay. If there are no more questions, we can end the call here. I would like to offer my obeisances to Prabhuji and all the Vaishnavas assembled on the call. Vancha kalpataro bhyasya kripa sindhu bhyeva patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Anand
Vaishnavebhyo namo namah.
Ki jai. Anand Prabhuji ki jai. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.